If you're someone who liked episode 50 of the latest Digimon series, the one where a human kid got partnered with an anime cat lady and even slept in the same bed with her, I think you're probably gonna like episode 55, the one where a different anime cat lady started training humans and making the best of them into her personal pets. Digimon Ghost Game knows exactly what it's doing with these types of episodes. I'm here to break it all down for you, review the episode, explain who this Digimon is. Some of you won't know if you watched Digimon as a kid but dropped off in the mid-2000s. Totally okay, we're here to talk about it all. There's also kind of exciting news this week. In addition to our new best look at Gamamon's Mega, courtesy of the Digimon trading card game, we also have our main character in the season finally wearing goggles. People have joked that you aren't a Digimon main character unless you have goggles on your head, and now we have our first look at Hiro Amanokawa wearing goggles in Ghost Game. Welcome to the Digino, where we talk Digimon and other 2000s anime nostalgia all the time. If you like the sound of that, please consider subscribing. As promised, we're going to talk about all of that and more, starting with our episode 55 review, then jumping into the goggle situation, courtesy of a really cool interview with Tenya Yabano, one of the most important artists in the history of the Digimon franchise. But before we go any further, let me introduce you to the newest friend of the channel, the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. I graduated a few years ago, but I'm a firm believer in being a lifelong learner and take at least one course a year just to expand my horizons. This year I found Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of online classes and members. It's a place to get inspired, learn new skills, and put them to work in impactful ways, all from the comfort of your home. I just finished up Marcus Brownlee's course on YouTube Success, Script, Shoot, and Edit with MKBHD, because he's one of my favorite creators on the platform, and I was super curious to learn from one of the best to try and find ways to make my own videos better. I'm also working through writing character-driven short stories by Yiyun Lee, drawing faces, figures, and clothing by Gabrielle Piccolo, one of my favorite comic book artists who did the Modern Teen Titans series a few years back. Courses are polished, personal, and I can't recommend Skillshare enough. And the good news is the first 1,000 people to use the link in my video description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. You can squeeze a ton of courses into that trial month, so don't miss out. Sign up before the 1,000 free trials are claimed. The new year is coming. Now is the perfect time to invest in yourself with Skillshare. And when you sign up, let me know in the comments what courses you're taking and what you'd recommend. Thanks so much to Skillshare. Now back to the video. Episode 55 of Digimon Ghost Game. Hiro watches the news about the rescue of a girl who woke up on the rooftop of a building. Kiyoshiro and Gamamon also begin acting strange, walking on top of fences and roofs. Apparently there is a Digimon that tries to train humans. Off the bat, I adored this episode. It's been a while since I've truly been glued to the screen, but this one got me. The cat transformations are super creepy throughout the episode. They're demonic looking as they become minions of the villain of the week. More on her later. Cats hypnotizing and training humans under the orders of our Digimon enemy of the week. Just to make the stakes feel more real, it's one of our own that is hypnotized and in danger. But it's not just him. Gamamon is next and is the first Digimon to be seen sleepwalking under the control of the villain and her army of cats. So far it's only been humans up until now. Bastemon is revealed to be our villain of the week. Quote, a Digimon called the Goddess of Cats who charms enemies with her eyes. Bastemon debuted in the Digimon World 3 video game in the early 2000s, then made an anime debut in Digimon Cross Wars around 2010. She's back in 2022, and it may be the first time a lot of people see this Digimon if you skipped over Cross Wars. Bastemon catches Hiro. He says, are you a Digimon? And she's intrigued by Hiro understanding what she is and says she has to be the one to personally train Hiro. In ancient times, cats were gods and all that jazz. She gives a sort of villain speech where she talks about why she believes cats should be idolized and revered. Skipping ahead a bit, we find Bastemon and an army of stray cats threatening human prisoners, forcing the humans onto their hands and knees, disciplining them and making them perform stunts and tricks. In what is the Digino's official creepiest moment of the week, Bastemon is forcing humans to slam their heads against a tombstone and causing Hiro and Kiyoshiro to slam their heads against their metal prison bars. There's got to be some serious brain damage happening here, and seeing the first woman who hit her head against the headstone then fall back collapsing was super messed up. It turns out though she's testing the humans. The ones that Bastemon deems unworthy will be buried alive, and the humans who are worthy will become pets for the cats. Just as Kiyoshiro is about to be up to his head in dirt, Ruli arrives. She arrives on Airdramon and the rest of our team, backed up by Jellymon, Angoromon, Airdramon, and Espimon. They show up. Thank goodness Angoromon warp digivolved straight to Lamortmon this week, actually using the new feature that we unlocked a few weeks ago and skipping to Ultimate instead of going Rookie, Champion, Ultimate. However, his strength is drained before he's quickly manipulated by Bastemon to turn on his allies. It's a bit of a strength draining and then also kind of hypnosis, 2 in 1 I guess. Now the whole gang is warp digivolving, so we get Gamamon and Jellymon's Ultimate skipping right over Champion. Again, I'm so glad that we're actually utilizing the Digivice Dual V and its ability to let us warp digivolve, Bastemon is such a force to be reckoned with that now the whole gang is warp digivolving. Espimon and even Airdramon are firing off blasts to stop Bastemon, but none of it's working. All the while, I have to say the animation in this fight is super gorgeous, so hats off to the animators working on this episode. I wish I could show you some more footage, but they don't love when we do that on YouTube, so just go watch the episode for yourself if you haven't already, which you really should have, or rewatch that fight to appreciate it all a second time. Bastemon eventually admits defeat, accepting that cats aren't likely to become gods in the 21st century. Then she ponders if she'll ever meet a partner of her own, the way that cats have their humans and the Digimon have found their partners, like Hiro and Kiyoshiro. Hiro assures Bastemon that she'll find someone to be her partner, and I'm certain there are some people watching this video who would love to have Bastemon as their partner Digimon. As for the verdict, I thought this episode kind of ruled. You know, it didn't do any of the things that I was hoping to see in recent episodes, like story progression or new evolutions, but this Monster of the Week premise was very strong, a fantastic villain design, very brutal violence with the head banging that made me feel super uncomfortable, which is a good thing for a show that is meant to be a light horror take on Digimon and the monster taming genre. Even if Ghost Game isn't making moves story-wise, I'm happy to see it do the Monster of the Week stuff well when it feels fresh and different. The copy pastes are no good for me, but this one felt unique and again was animated beautifully. But that's not all there is to discuss this week. Hiro has goggles, kind of, sort of. He actually had goggles in an early version of Hiro that we never ended up getting to see in the show. Courtesy of With the Will, we have information and translation, which I'll link to below. The Digimon Dreamers manga just got a volume collection, and in there was a little interesting behind the scenes with Tenya Yabano, the manga illustrator, who also drew Digimon V-Tamer back when the series was just getting started, and who did the concept character designs for Digimon Ghost Game. He shared, among other things, an early look at Hiro that showed him sporting different eyes and different hair that looks to me a lot more like Tai/Taichi from the OG Digimon shows. We see him with this kind of overall look that never made it into the show and makes him look a bit younger, but most interestingly, we see a version of Hiro wearing goggles. Obviously, the goggles didn't make it into the show, and you have to wonder why, right? After all, so many Digimon protagonists are goggle heads. The interviewer asked him, Hiro's initial design had goggles on, but when did the goggles come off? To which Yabano replies, Digimon protagonists have an unwritten law that they must be wearing goggles, but when I came up with Taichi's design all those years ago, I put goggles on him with the anticipation that they would be used during aerial battle. I gave the opinion this time that if they weren't necessary in this series, then perhaps we shouldn't add them on just for the show, and it was decided, yes, let's take them out. So long story short, Tai's goggles originally had a design intent, but as the series went on, many of the goggle kids were wearing them for no particular reason. So when the time came to design for Ghost Game, Yabano kind of instinctively threw goggles onto Hiro because that just felt like the thing to do, but then as they sat there and thought about it, they asked if there was any reason this kid would be wearing them, and when it was decided, it made very little sense for an average middle schooler living in a dorm room to be constantly wearing goggles on a daily basis. They decided to cut the goggles. Personally, I think they looked great. They even have a bit more of a modern look, almost like a VR headset, but hey, I totally get it. Just glad we got to see this what if where Hiro had goggles like the great Digimon protagonist that came before him. Let me know what you think about the goggles on Hiro, what you thought about episode 55 in general, the return of Bastemon after all these years. If you're signing up for that Skillshare 1-month trial, what classes you plan on taking, let me know. One other thing, friend of the channel KarnEX just released an amazing breakdown of everything you need to know about the new Vital Bracelet BE. Basically, if you're out of the loop, that's the Digimon franchise's take on Fitbits and fitness watches. I reviewed the last gen version about a year ago, and you might be wondering where my review of the new Gen 3 versions are. The truth is I ordered it, but it's still in the mail, so I can't review it properly. But if you want to know if it's worth upgrading to, if this should be the first Vital Bracelet you order, and everything else there is to know, like where to get them, watch KarnEX's video. I'll link to it in the video description and whatnot. Alright everyone, hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I did. Talk to you in the comments, have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.